how did you hear about nuclear and decided to get into nuclear? Tell us, is it a childhood story or just a last minute U-turn?
Yes. In fact, it's a bit like in the movie Inception. So I remember a high school teacher of us that kind of introduced us to it, and it kind of planted the seed there. He didn't think about it for years, but years later, I did. So I studied physics, and after that, sort of deciding what field I wanted to get into, energy kept coming into my mind, right? Kind of as the basis of everything. And I looked at renewables, I looked at batteries, I looked at a few things, but I kept coming back to nuclear, right, and the big promise it had. So it was a few things that put in my mind, that one teacher, some internet, some TED talks, some videos of those that eventually made me look more into this and convinced me. So
When
it's a
was
few
that?
things. I did the master's in nuclear. That must be 4 years ago now. So 2021 it was. And now I've been in the field for a couple of years and loving it.
You're loving it. Never looked back.
Sure. Yes, that's right.
Great story. Where are you working at the moment?
Right. So now I'm at a Spanish company called IDOM, IDOM Nuclear Services, which does projects both in Spain and abroad, serving both the Spanish nuclear power plants and other projects abroad in nuclear power, in research, in fusion, a few things.
Fantastic. Are you enjoying it? What's the most interesting part of your job?
Yes, it's definitely challenging. It's very dynamic, at least in my case. So we do all sorts of projects. You get to learn, a lot of different points of view in the industry, different parts, from operation of established plants to research reactors to fusion. So it's really dynamic, and that's been really enjoyable.
Great. Describe us, how does your day look like at work? What's a good day, or what's a memorable day that you had at work?
Right. So in my case, most of my time I do what's called thermohydraulics. So basically, you're doing computer simulations of the working of nuclear power plants. You have models that you get to tweak, you get to experiment with, to try out new systems. Of course, before you try them out or you put them for real in the nuclear power plant. So that's kind of my day to day.
Okay, great. Simulations. Fantastic. And you mentioned you're in Spain, you're living in Barcelona. How is the public opinion on nuclear in Spain at the moment?
Right. So the good news is that it's improving. The bad news is that it did not start at a good place, right? So like in many other places, nuclear energy has had historically not that great of an image, and that's in part, of course, due to the lack of effort in the industry itself, right? It's not an industry that historically has focused in communication, we think, and it is changing now, and that's encouraging. And of course, climate change being and carbon emissions being a top of mind concern for a lot of people brings them to realize what we know, of course, which is that nuclear power is an indispensable tool, really, to decarbonize our economies.
So when you tell people who don't work in the industry that you work in nuclear, what's their reaction? What questions do you get most often?
The main reaction we get is curiosity. So it's not a field or well, yes, a field that people think that much about, right? So we get more of, what is that about? I don't really think about it that much, than a negative or a fearful reaction. And that's, of course, always encouraging. We get to feed that curiosity and teach them about this amazing technology.
What's the question you hate the most, and what's the question you wish people ask more often?
Well, you do get that sounds dangerous, and you fear going to work, which of course we know makes no sense, right? It's the safety, of course. Once you're in the field, you realize to what extent it's always number one top of mind concern, the top of mind filter that you put any work through, right? It's an industry that you do not get to be lazy in about safety. I would say this is one of the main differences between being in the inside and being on the outside.
And what question you wish people asked more often?
Well, I certainly wish people shared the enthusiasm, right, for this technology. It's really unknown. Some people don't even realize that their countries, in this case Spain, has nuclear power. So there's a big communication gap that we're trying to fill.
Why do you think that is?
Well, it's a mixture of reasons, right? As I said, historically, the industry itself has not been great at communication, or has not seen it as a priority. And we've seen how so-called environmental movement has fought it in terms of safety, in terms of contamination. And so the net result has been that when there was a public debate in nuclear, it was very often one-sided. And this is changing now. As I said, it's encouraging that the industry is realizing the importance of that. But of course, there's a lot of uphill work to do now.
Yes. So if you had a magic wand that you could do anything in the nuclear industry, I'm not going to give you a magic wand to do anything in the world, but for nuclear this time, what would you like?
Well, mostly I think I would want the leaders of the industry to be brave about communication, right? Because the facts are on our side. Really, we know it's a key tool to enable a future of abundance, of clean, abundant, affordable energy. And so we know that we think the industry could make a much better job of being affirmative and being brave about it.
Yes. Where do you see the industry going? What is your projection for the next 5 years, 10 years for nuclear?
Right. So the good news, as I said before, is that direction is good. Right. We're realizing that we will always need more energy, more electricity, and more clean electricity. Of course, first of all, to replace our fossil economy, but then, of course, we want to electrify our industry, transportation, data centers. So the demand is there, and people and governments over the world are realizing the importance of that. So on the long term, I see a bright future in the industry. Of course, in the short term, the danger it is in places such as Spain, out of inertia, to, for instance, close the nuclear plant that we have, which is the current plan and the one we are fighting. So the next 5 years really is an inflection point. We see it in the industry.
So it's a key turning point. Keep
Right,
your
yes.
ground and fight on.
We think so, yes.
Fantastic. Where the industry is in need of talent, people like yourself who will go into the industry and do the amazing things, but not just engineers like yourself, physicists like yourself, but all sorts of people in all sorts of departments. How do we encourage young people to get into nuclear?
This is really almost the crucial question. We see that both in Spain, all over Europe, really all over the world, that the key bottleneck seems to be for the next 5, 10, 15 years, qualified workers, right? Not only engineers, but electricians, welders, all sorts of trades in which, at least for the Spanish case, and I'm sure it's the same everywhere else or similar everywhere else, a lot of the workforce is aging, is getting into retirement soon. And yes, it will be crucial. We need them to understand that, we need young students, people who would consider these kind of trades to see how that it's a qualified, well-paid, make it prestigious as well. That's a whole other conversation. A line of work, unionized a lot of the times, that they can make a career in.
So it is a good career for people who already have careers, are working somewhere. Can they transition into nuclear jobs, in your opinion?
Yes, for sure. We've seen things like that, for instance, in the coal industry, in which with a little amount of retraining, people can move from other energy industries into nuclear. As I said, a lot of the bottleneck is going to be trades like electricians and plumbers, which with some retraining can easily adapt to the nuclear industry.
Okay. What key projects would you like to see being realized in the world right now? Are there any projects that you're really looking forward to getting the green light from either your government or any other governments in the world?
Right. So in Spain, the priority, of course, is right now not closing the plant we have. That would be the first step. But of course, after that, we've seen how, for instance, over 20 countries committed to tripling the global nuclear capacity by 2050, right? So if those projects are to be online by then, they need to be starting to be planned now. So there's definitely room for expansion in conventional nuclear. And then, of course, many other research projects. We've seen the ITER project in the south of France, right? For nuclear fusion. So we see a lot of these projects that are looking like they're going forward. We've seen new technologies, countries that were not into nuclear at all. In our case, in Eastern Europe, expanding there. So we see the future as promising.
Fantastic. What's in store for you? What are your goals and desires for your own career in the next 5, 10, or even more years?
Well, to grow and learn, right? So I'm, relatively speaking, starting in my career. It's a couple of years now, and so yes, I'm loving it. I keep finding new challenges and new ways to learn, and not getting tired of that.
Every day is a new challenge. Is there anything else you would like to mention that you feel people don't get enough airtime to say about nuclear?
Well, mostly I guess I would like people to follow their curiosity, right? So as I said, when we talk to our friends, to the public about it, the main reaction we see is not as much as negative, but as of curiosity. So we would like to encourage people to research it. There's information everywhere. and to see how this is an amazing technology, that it's absolutely necessary for our future.
Great. Any other questions that you would like to ask or you would like to be asked?
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the organization that with a coworker we co-founded, called Econucleares, here in Spain, which we fight precisely towards this goal, to inform the public, to put nuclear back in the conversation, of course, to fight the closure of the nuclear power plants. According to the government's plan, they would be closed, all 7 reactors in Spain, during the first decade, and that's 20% of our generation. So it makes absolutely no sense, either economically or environmentally, to close them. So
Yes,
that's
when
our
other
fight.
countries like Germany are fighting to reopen now.
That's right. So, ideally, if we get to skip the step and keep them open, that's the best for everyone.
Well, we wish you best of luck in that. Thank you very much for coming on and taking part in our chat.
Thank you.